Hi, I'm Joe. Welcome back. This is the Ultimate Love Letter. Thank you for joining the conversation. What it really looks like to put God first. What it looks like when we have God at the center of our life. And the way that God responds once He's in that place. You know, I can only look at my own life. I know very much what my life looked like before I had God at the center and what it looks like now that I have God seated comfortably in the center of my life. When and I've always been a believer. I've always known that there was a God. I always believed in Jesus. I always believed in a higher source. I always believed in the universe. I love the scriptures. But, make no mistake, it's quite different to know God. And I mean, as far as believe that there is something higher than ourselves that is directing us. And knowing that there is something higher than ourselves that is directing us and relying heavily on that source, putting that source before anything else. When we are just believing in God and we're saying, yes, we love God and God bless you, and we're reading our devotionals, we're reading our Bibles, we are displaying God's work in our life. But in some areas in our life, perhaps we're not so reliant on God. Perhaps when it comes to our businesses and our creative projects, we're in the thought that we can do it without this source. We don't have the time to be still, to collaborate with God. And collaborate with God means we're going to set aside time every single day, first thing in the morning, to say, I need this quiet space between me and the Most High. I need to be able to hear God's guidance. I need to be able to bring Him some things in prayer and not just jolt forward in the things that I want to do. I may wake up one day and say, I want to take this trip. But that's what I want to do. That's what the personality wants to do. I have to check in with God. What does God want me to do? Am I being approved to take that trip? When we are leaving God out of the equation, what ends up happening, and you tell me if you see this in your own life, what ends up happening is pain, missed flights, missteps, lost money, not the most fulfilling time. Wondering why we missed the flight, wondering why we checked into that hotel and we had the worst time, wondering why we tripped and fell quite literally and ended up in the hospital. It is because we have not put God at the center of our life. Those plans we ran with, we left God out of them. To include God and to put God at the center means that we're going to go to God first, not last. First, not second. We are going to heavily and quite literally ask God what is in His will every single day. Anytime we're met with what may seem like an opportunity, we're going to ask God, God, is this for me? God, is this of you? God says that we have all the resources available to us. We have all the abundance. We create limitations to keep us from the abundance, but prosperity is always ours. And often it comes in forms of ideas, right? Like we're able to draw ideas from the unlimited storehouse. And through those ideas, we're able to create things that monetize, that bring us fulfillment, that bring us joy, that bring the community together, that fulfill us. But oftentimes we'll select these ideas from the storehouse and then we'll say, bet, I'm supposed to start that shop. Thank you, God. I'm going to go start that shop. And then we're off to the races. We're off looking at spaces. We're off bringing on partners. We're off selecting, inventory for our shop. But we've left God out of the details. If God is saying we are to open a shop, for instance, he's not saying stop there. He's saying involve him in all the planning, in the entire process. What I find in my own life is that when I stop to consult God, my plans prosper. I am lifted up. It becomes almost like ease, absolute ease. I take trips around the world. They're comfortable flights. I arrive on time. I arrive refreshed. I check into the hotel, whether it's, a hotel that I may check into, and I have done this often. I've checked into it and be like, nope, this is not what I planned. I need something a little bit better. But even in that moment of changing plans, God supports the plans. God supports, okay, yeah, we knew you were going to check in. You weren't going to like it, but guess what? I got you over here. Here's a beautiful room in seemingly a point where it could be a miracle. I remember one time I went to Bali for New Year's. This was a couple years back. And I had booked the most grandest villa. It was like a 2-bedroom villa, pool, huge living room, and kitchen, beautiful garden. It looked incredible online. Now, mind you, I was arriving literally 2 days before New Year's. And when I touched down, like 3 a.m., I checked in and immediately I knew I made a mistake. Like, yes, it was grand and it was big. The cleanliness wasn't there. I'll just say that. And I was uncomfortable. And I said, you know what? As soon as the sun comes up, I am off looking for a better place to bring in the new year. I was very aware that it was New Year's Eve. Where am I going to find a place that is up to my standards, that is up to God's standards, 48 hours before the new year? And what would seem like sheer luck, which was no luck, it was just simply God allowing me to pivot and blessing the pivot. I looked up and I found like the last room in this grand resort, and I was able to check in, and it was everything, quite literally everything I had imagined in my mind when I thought about spending New Year's in Bali. It was a luxurious villa. It was clean. It was hospitable. They catered to our every need. It was in the most beautiful, kind of local, kind of remote location, close to the city. It was everything. But that's what God does when we put him at the center. God is saying, when you're collaborating with me, when you are coming to me for guidance, when you are asking me and considering me first on which way you go, I will make your steps light. I will make them easy. They will be joyful. And even when you're met with adversity, don't fret. I'm there and I'm going to support you. I'm never going to leave you. I'm going to make you win in every situation, even when it seems like it might have been a loss initially. That's what it looks like when we're putting God at the center. When we are leaving God out of the details, when we are just saying, I got this, I can do this, I'll refer to God when I have time, quite opposite is what happens. I know people who have taken what looks like the trips of a lifetime. Not necessarily did they check in with God first, but they taken these trips. They were able to take these vacations. And when they get back, it was nothing but chaos. They fallen ill. They end up arguing with their spouse. They say it was a mediocre time. It's because we have left the one out of it who is saying that everything that fulfills us must come through him. He designed that in our DNA. We are actually built with craving God's love, craving God's guidance. We are actually that gaping hole that we feel that we are looking for everything to fill. God is the only thing that can quench that. I know oftentimes we are looking for a love outside of ourselves that can quench it. We're going out in life and we're literally keeping our eyes peeled for that man, that woman, that person, that love that's going to come in and fulfill all the loneliness, fulfill the lack that the lack of love that we don't feel. So we're leaving God out of it. We're just focused on it's got to be in another person. All the while, God is standing on the sideline saying, it's me. When will you turn your attention to me? When we turn our attention to God, when we are saying, I put you first, God, then that quite literally means we are looking to God first, not second. And here's the quite interesting thing. God bless my girlfriends, but most of my girlfriends, with the exception of a few right now, but most of my girlfriends who are not in relationships and some of them who are, they were always just looking for a love outside of themselves. They're looking for a man that will fulfill them, that will revere them, I talked to some friends and they're like, oh, he just adores me. So, he's growing on me because he adores you. If you turn to God, God heals that thing within us that's saying, I need someone outside of me to adore me. No, God fills the heart, fills your soul. And then all of a sudden you begin to love yourself the way God loves you. And when you love yourself, what it really looks like is you're no longer looking for anything on the outside. I don't know how many people can resonate with that who have made it to that level in life, but when you actually love yourself and you've spent time with God and God is at the center, and as a result, God has allowed you, has helped you, has healed you to love yourself wholeheartedly, you are 100% content. 100%, to the point where for me, I would actually pray to God every now and again, and I would say, God, don't let me forget that I actually want to love outside of myself. Like, I'm so content. I'm content in my own space. I'm content in my home. I'm content alone. I'm content traveling alone. I'm content having dinner alone because I feel so complete. God has come in, essentially rushed in and overflowed my cup where I feel like love from everywhere. And I'm no longer thinking about just love in another person, love in a romantic relationship, love in a friendship. I am 100% complete. That is what God does when we're putting him first. So then he says, when we put him first, he will add everything else to us. So as we're just going off loving God, loving ourselves, enjoying our presence, enjoying our friends and our family and our community and the work that we're doing, then God has room to bring someone into your life that is just as healed as you are, who is also just loving themselves the same way you have been loving yourself. And now you're met with the partner that possibly you didn't even have the creativity to dream up of on your own, because you're just busy spending time with God at the center of your life. To put God at the center means we're going to actually carve out time every day to be with him. When we rise, before we grab for that phone or that calendar, the emails or Instagram or whatever, we are actually going to wake up, give God thanks, and spend time with God. When we have pushed back the demands of life to spend time with God in stillness, we have actually done the best thing. We have done the most profound investment. We are saying, God, you first. And as God is first, God will add everything else to us. And that will look like anything. Even when we're off, possibly we're looking for, a bigger business. We're growing our business. We're in the middle of, or in between jobs, or we're in the middle of whatever, but we're grateful where we are at, but we know where we want to go. And we're in this in-between space. When we're putting God first, God is like that in between space is glorious. It's peaceful. It may not be everything you want, but you are tremendously blessed in that in between space. God makes everything you have in that in between space enough, and everything will come to you perfectly because we have decided God first. I was thinking about, just the beginning of the year, started off, it started off popping. I mean, from the fires to, lost friendships in my life. It was a point where I just felt just intuitively like, God, I need to work. I need to get creative. I need to write. But also, just deep down, I just want to be. I just want to rest. I just want to wallow in this feeling. I just want to heal. I just want to relax in your wings, God. And I need you just to take the wheel. And you know what? I looked up and it was like the perfect time. I realized that I had taken before this whole week had come on me with the fires and the lost friendships. Actually found myself in a week where I had taken almost a week off organically, not knowing what was happening, but God always knows. He always makes a way. He already knows what's coming around the bend. So he creates beautiful, comfortable circumstances to just support you everywhere you are in life, every minute, because you have put him first. So now he's solely, completely looking out after you. And what I needed rest. I needed relaxation. I needed to be able to just walk around the house in my bathrobe and just wallow in the pain and everything I was feeling. And I found myself in a week where I was blessed to just do that. I didn't need to do anything. And as I went into the feeling of just, God, it's just me and you, and God, I'm in pain, and God, heal this pain, and just meditation, God began to infuse his peace. God began to infuse wisdom in my life. God began to infuse encouragement in me. He began to quite literally heal me in the moment where it was the darkest. That's what God does when we put him at the center. Do you know someone who's always complaining? It's always something, and it's always on the surface. It's never them. It's always the job or the clients or their husband or their wife or their children or their economy. It's always something. For those that have God at the center, it is nothing but reverence and blessings, even in the middle. Not saying life will always be perfect, because it won't, but even in the middle of the discomfort, we are shown the blessings, the protection that God has over us. We are supported from one step to the next in the middle of the challenge because God is at the center. God is guiding. God is going before us, and then he is going with us because we have him at the center. When we don't have him at the center of our life, we're ahead of God, right? We're only looking at God when things get really rough. Then we turn to God. Like, God, why did you then we blame God, right? Why did you do this? I don't understand. Why did this happen? God is like, well, you were never meant to embark on this journey. You were never meant to accept that job. You were never meant to choose that person as your relationship. You were never meant to be at dinner with this friend. No wonder there's pain. You didn't consult me first. If you had, I would have shown you the way. And it was never this way. I don't know about you, but all I want is what God has for me, because I know what God has for me comes with ease, comes with peace, comes with prosperity. And I know it's painful when we think we know what we want and God is saying, nope, that's not it. Then we have to kind of wrestle with, how bad do I trust you, God? Let me say this to you with all the love and the care. Trust God. Trust God. You want to be fulfilled. You want to have a purpose. You want to be filled with love and with peace. You want to be taken care of. You want that no matter how much money you're making, all of a sudden it's enough. You want to be filled with a space where it's complete peace. He removes the worry. Yes, God can do it. I'm living proof. I sleep like a baby, and situations are not perfect, but I know I serve a perfect God. And I know that no matter what situations that may be looming in the distance, I'm not falling for the bullshit. God says, stay right here. Keep your eyes on me. Stay in the present moment. Trust me to work out whatever you're going to have to work out in the future. As long as you are putting me at the center of your life, I will totally take care of your entire life. There is an easier way to live. I don't know why we're living any other way. God, it's so interesting. God is saying, put me first and I'll take care of the rest. What really is there to be fighting about? You know, I think about a baby, an infant who is just totally relying on their parent. And I think about now in childhood how I didn't have any cares. I didn't have any bills. I didn't need to worry about a roof over my head or food or clothes on my back. I knew that anything I wanted, my parents provided, and life was easy. I was free to go out and play and make art and be joyful and not a care in the world. Well, God is saying, I want to give that to you in adulthood, but it's going to take you putting me at the center. So why are we fighting it? Don't you want to be cared for? Don't you want that no matter what you're making and earning, all of a sudden it's enough? You're free to be generous. You're free to give away your gifts. You're free to live in your passion. You're free to do the work that God has burning in your soul to do. You're free to meet people that God will bring that will love you and revere you and will support you. But God is saying, just got to put me at the center. You just have to check with me when you get an idea to make sure that's according to my will. And here's the thing, the more we have God at the center, the more he infuses his thoughts, or the more his thoughts become our thoughts. So before you know it, everything you're thinking is everything you want to do, everything you want to go, it's already a yes because God infused it in you. Those were his thoughts. Now they're your thoughts. You want it. Guess what? He already said go after it. You got it. You got it. Put God at the center. Let's stop living in misalignment and dis-ease and uncontentment and unfulfillment and pain and agony and stressing about where the money's going to come for the rent next month, or how we're going to put that kid through college, or how we're going to take that honeymoon. Give it to God. Decide right now, God, you at the center of this life. I'm going to wake up every day and I'm going to be in prayer and meditation. I'm going to tell you my thoughts. I'm going to listen to what you have to say about them. And I'm going to listen to guidance on how to move forward in every moment. You know, I am in the process of, I can share. I think I've talked about it. I'm in the process of finishing up a book. I am so excited about this. And I had someone that was editing the book for me. That friendship ended up going south. And immediately I thought, oh my goodness, now who's going to edit my book? And I remember immediately I went to God and I was like, God, I need you to do everything that person was doing with the book, with the social accounts. I need you, God, you need to take care of it because I can't take care of that. And, you know, I almost heard God say, and he said it in so many words, but it was like God said, light work. Like, yeah, I got you. If I told you to leave that person, then don't you understand that I'm going to take care of everything that you need to take care of, that person was taken care of? Done. No, there was never even a thought. And before I knew it, I looked up and it wasn't even, I'm not even kidding, it wasn't even days had passed where I was met with publishers that actually said, hey, we got you. We'll edit the book. So editing the book professionally, where it was being edited, not by necessarily a professional, but it was being edited by someone who I trusted, who I knew that could do the job. But God said no better, no more polished, no more refined. They are out. You trusted me, and it only took a couple of days of trust. And now in comes a professional person who can do this better than you imagined. That is what God does when he's at the center. That is what God does when we're leaving it up to him. When we think we know better, then we select mediocre people to do like the editing, for instance, of your book. When you leave it up to God, then God gives it to a professional to do. Do you see how it works? God wants to give you better. We think we know better and we're settling for mediocre. God says, no, you deserve better. You have me at the center. I'm guiding this life. You're trusting me to guide this life. So I'm only going to give you the best experiences. So before I knew it, I had really no time to grow anxious or worried about anything, essentially. And I know it because I have God at the center of my life, and I see it all the time. Anytime I don't know how I'm going to do something, I let that thought linger for a split second. And immediately I'm reminded, as soon as that anxiety comes in, I says, oh, wait, I know who's going to do it. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I know who's going to do it. Here, God, take this. Thank you. Let me know if you need help from me. Let me know if I need to do anything. And God, when we give it to him like that, because he's at the center of our life, God will run with it. And he'll make it better than you could have ever imagined because you have placed God first. Put God first and he will add everything to you. He has told no lies. See God through all the way. He wants to be in direct business with you. Yes, he gave you the idea to write the book. Stay with him on writing every single page. He gave you an idea to start the bakery. Great, that's step one, is starting the bakery. Let him give you the details. Make it easier. Make it faster. Make it more grander. Nobody knows better than the Most High. Nobody knows better than the creator of it all. Do yourself a favor. Put God first and watch everything fall into place. Go be fulfilled. Go be inspired. Go live the grandest life. You will not walk worn out paths. You will walk fresh trails through life all the way into eternity when we're putting God first. Thank you so much for joining this combo. Please consider sharing it for someone who needs a reminder about putting God first. There is nothing to fear. When I think about it in hindsight, it's everything to fear to try to take the lead of our own life. I know I've lived that way most of my life, and that shit sucked. And now the second part of my life of me giving it to God, I have won every single year, hands down. I decided to put God wholeheartedly at the center of my life in 2020, and God has made my work completely aligned with me. I always felt like I didn't have impactful work. And God all of a sudden gave me ideas that made me create work that was totally profound and fulfilling. And it was me. It's everything that I love to do. God made it playful. Where it used to be mundane and I was grinding at somebody else's dream, right? Somebody else's 9 to 5, feeling like I had been settling for less than. God made it playful. God made it my own. God made it profound. God made it feel like it wasn't work and it was all play. God does that. God can do that when we put him first. Don't sell yourself short. Spend time with him. Get in communication with him. The conversations are beautiful. They're inspiring, they're life-changing, they're healing, they're revealing, they're uplifting, they're blessings, they're tremendous, they overflow you. They will fill your cup and all those around you. Until next time, love yourself and love others. We'll chat again soon. Bye for now.